So as Arup's Chief Data Officer, Volker is responsible for delivering the data solutions to support Arup-wide automation, services and products. His work involves identifying technology trends that have a disruptive impact on the built environment, core markets and Arup strategies. He has also been responsible for developing data-driven insights, improving innovation and engaging with the UN Sustainable Development Goals to tackle climate change. Prior to Arup, Volker worked as a project director for public and private sector clients across the world. His non-executive director roles have included work on advisory boards, including the Smart London Board, advising the Mayor of London, the Smart Cities Forum, advising UK ministers for cities and technology, together with advisory roles for ISO, BSI, Digital Economy Catapult, and the Canary Wharf Cognicity Programme. So over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting me. As Leo said, my name is Volker Buscher. I'm the Chief Data Officer for Arup. We're a global consulting and engineering firm, about 16,000 people working in, I think, between 70 and 90 offices right now around the world. I'll talk a little bit about our own data strategy, then apply that to the real estate and property industry, and then conclude with some remarks. The introduction of data as a specific part of our strategy in Arup really started when we looked at digital transformation and technology more broadly in around 2016, 2017. And it became apparent that the idea that we're looking at profound change for us and our clients became an agreed fact. And that led to the beginning of our digital transformation program. And then as part of that, we created a role of a chief data officer. That is part, though, of a strategy that combines three elements: sustainable development, inclusion, and in my area, data. And we see this a little bit as a triple helix, where all three strands have to be individually strong, but also stay highly connected, so that as a company, we still can compete and attract both staff and customers. The big change around data really came in 2017. We started to use supercomputers, PC, client-server architectures, a global network of data centers and network infrastructure in 1968. And then decided in 2017 that we had to change our approach and build an explicit strategy around data. And with that, a fundamental step change in our infrastructure, where all our systems, or maybe 95% of our systems, are moving into the cloud now, and as a result, give us different capabilities in the way we work with data. So the data strategy that we created has these key platforms. The first one is where we look at data infrastructure and environments. So that's all our data science work, geodata, and then all the technical infrastructure and the required people, process, and technologies around the processing and the work with data across everything we do, whether that is enterprise data for customer insights or financial analysis or claims management, to the data we would use in a spectrum analysis project for an airport. The second platform is innovation, where we look at new methodologies to create value. So that looks primarily at product management or product innovation processes, partnership and ecosystem management, and venturing. The third platform then looks at the ability to change the organization. So we're running a data knowledge or data literacy program. We are setting out a new process around data governance. And then we have a research program called Data Supernova that looks at research, foresight, academic engagements, and I'll talk about a bit more later, a specific program on data sharing. And the fourth plank is leadership, which is creating leadership capability across our business. So we would like our water business or our buildings groups to be able to develop their own data strategies and value creation and requirements. And the role of a chief data officer or my team is to be a catalyst and to assist the company to be able to work with data in everything we do, or wherever we should be doing it. So that sort of brings it together here, where we're saying it's all aspects of the built environment, but also it is all our people data, all commercial data, and we're looking at how we can work with this in a more consistent and holistic way. In industry, I will just briefly go through why we need to do that and how that is manifesting itself as our buildings work and our real estate work. So in buildings and in real estate, we see that what Frank Duffy described as stuff, all the technology and the digital systems that make buildings or assets work is being disruptive and significantly changing through a number of technological trends. Artificial intelligence, cloud computing, robotics, Internet of Things, and so on and so on. If we look at what that means at an asset level, this is a project where we had about 110 buildings to look at, 1,500 staff, and you find 100 plus subsystems in that building. And we see all of those systems now moving towards the ability to create and orchestrate data at high volume and high variety, and natively moving towards the cloud as one of the principal storage and processing places for that's critical for all asset and property management activities, and you can see we are working at any point in time on hundreds, if not thousands, of buildings. The complexity that you then see behind that. We see the same principle happening in design. So this is an analysis environment for structural engineering in a seismic region, where this is the structural and seismic engineering solution for a hospital in Turkey, where the entire workflow is running on a cloud platform for structural and seismic analysis. And the production environment is also all cloud hosted. We have 40 plus technical disciplines, and we're looking currently how they will all move into this type of workflow. We're then seeing that all the management data is moving into a similar environment. So there's all finance, customer, people, network analysis in terms of behaviors and relationships in the organization are now becoming available through more orchestrated data architectures, and that allows us to create new business models and ideas around that. And then probably one of the more exciting data sets in this, or as exciting as the others, is the emergence of user data, where we see in buildings not just the understanding of the asset, but also the engagement of the user with the building, or the behaviors, or the use as a critical input into analysis. What we then do with the stuff that I've just shown you is look at building data value chains, where we can look at data creation or data acquisition, transformation, and then the value add to either create actionable insights or designs out of that data. And there are currently some inefficiencies in the industry, where we're currently spending about 60 to 70% between acquisition and transformation, or creation and transformation, and we like to reduce that and spend more time on the value add. An example for that work is this is actually from Bridges, where we're looking at condition and performance intelligence, and develop the schemas and data architectures, and then the associated data infrastructure to take streamed IoT data and design data to then create these insights around a bridge integrity report or service lift reports. And the same applies to asset management or risk management issues, where in this case, we're not using IoT data, we're using inspection data and combining that with design data. In property, we think this is now happening, and we see it having to work at different scales. So one dimension or one scale is that you need to be able to manage and work with the data across the asset lifecycle, from design, so from planning to design to construction, operations, and then renewal or decommissioning. You need to be able to express the use of data at an asset level, not just around the core value of the asset, but the use in terms of sustainability, brand experience, and service offerings to the users. And you need to be able to deploy this technology across entire portfolios, where most likely the value will be created. That changes already how we do buying, selling, renting, and increasingly now asset and property management, and as the latest focus area, the actual experience of the office itself. I think this experience is critical right now, and I'll come to a little bit more on how COVID is changing that right now. But as I said earlier, the work we can do as a firm around data is limited by how the ecosystem in which we operate creates and shares data. So one of our key initiatives right now is with a partner called Icebreaker One, and another one, the Open Data Institute, to specifically look at how this value chain works within ecosystems where you have, in energy, for example, we've mapped 8,000 stakeholders who want to collectively agree how best to share data across this value chain. Because the work that we do under 3 in value add is highly dependent on the acquisition cost or the way the data arrives in Arup. To do that, we've broken down 5 models of sharing and are looking right now at which ones are the ones that are critical to us in the industry. And we see 90% of sharing happening through bilateral agreements, a small growth on multi-API economies, several companies pushing in with platform business models, which is not very successful right now, and then the emergence of the newer concepts around data trusts and implementation entities for shared data standards. And I think it's the top right corner around the implementation of shared standards that we'll see that would bring huge benefit to us and our organizations. We had similar discussions in the past, and people felt maybe this will happen over 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. And I think there's another reason why we really feel we're going into a more intense phase now. And that is that in emerging to the need getting clearer and the technology being available, we also see the emergence of venture capital, or some frame it as Proptech, or some frame it as venture capital for the built world entering this space. So the rapid growth of capital that is there to disrupt and to invest in new innovation will drive through change that incumbents otherwise might not want to take on. And we've seen in other industries when that happens, together with the trends I described earlier, that things really start to move. So it's a very exciting moment in time for our industry. Now, I think all of what I've shown is true and will continue, but it's changing because of what's happening with COVID right now. And we're calling that beyond the curve, where we see an acceleration right now that potentially has fundamental change in the way we spend time and therefore how we use the assets we live and work in. And the shift towards a 50-minute neighborhood where you have active transport within a 50-minute cycle or walking distance of where you live, the introduction of newer transport and connectivity models, and as a result, the change of central business district, high streets, and retail destination as a fundamental shift. And even if it's only 40 or 60% of time that we will continue to spend in a post-COVID world, when we are no longer forced to socially distance, but we have a choice, will radically alter the other 2 systems. So this is one of the research reports we are doing right now, that yellow one on the top right corner. And it will have sort of a similar approach as we talk to digital twins, where we developed a framework that we felt applicable, looked at evidence points, so that both we can have this discussion with our colleagues and clients and industry, but also we can define our role within this world. So I don't think we will become a digital twin operator, but all our clients will have a virtual representation and simulation and modeling environments of the physical assets, and we need to be able to engage with that. This report is available if people are interested on arup.com on the digital twin. So in conclusion, I personally believe Friedman in Thank You for Being Late put it very succinctly in his comment that some of these emerging technologies, and when combined with cloud computing and cloud technologies and the associated ability to work with data at scale, are highly disruptive at a certain point in time, and then it goes very quickly. And this burst of energy, that's why he framed it supernova, that burst of energy either transforms you and moves you forward, or it blows you away. And obviously that's something we all want to avoid. So for the real estate industry, I think the same goals apply, that you need to combine digital with sustainable and inclusion objectives, and have a highly integrated strategy across all three strands. I think we're entering a period of superlative change and not just changing one system or one technology or one workflow. And I think the introduction of specific strategies and approaches around data, in addition to dealing with the technology systems, will become a general capability that most organizations, if not all organizations, will have to introduce. That was my presentation. Thank you very much. I hope you could hear and see the presentations, and maybe we get the video working back for the panel discussion later. Thank you.